In this video, I'm going to show you how to take your ghost hunting game to the next level. Hey everyone, it's Unboxing with Bryan. Hey everyone, it's Unboxing with Bryan. Today, we have a very special, that's me, I'm very excited for this. The Rem Pod. Alright, so I have used the Rem Pod in the past. I'm extremely excited about this specific item. Okay, when we talk about paranormal investigating and we use, say, old school techniques, absolutely fantastic. When you deal with newer investigators and even experienced ones, items such as the Rem Pod and items such as the portal, a spirit box, anything that does like audio, it's gonna change your paranormal game, okay? So when you're doing an EVP session, say it's a 10-minute EVP session, maybe you start this bad boy to last 2 or 3 minutes. Or maybe you set this on in the hallway while you do your EVP session. And if you say, hey, if there's someone out in the hallway, can you please touch that red light? And it starts going off and you know, everyone loves it, it's crazy. Okay, let me explain what the Rem Pod is. First off, you're gonna need, I think it's a C or D battery, a 9 volt battery. It's the rectangular ones. And there is an off and on switch at the top. This is the ATDD power. I don't touch that. So you're gonna just, you're gonna look at the 9 volt right here. There's a circular side here, and then there's like a hexagon. You're gonna fit that with here. The opposites, I believe. And turn it on and it works. So there are a lot of buttons here, but to keep it simple, you're gonna touch the middle one. There's a couple settings. Okay. So the first thing I do is when I have the Rem Pod open, I'm gonna do this. When I turn it on, it's on setting 1, which is the least sensitive. And I go ahead and click it to the most sensitive, which means all the lights are on when I click that middle button. If you think it's malfunctioning, then you can go ahead and turn it off, turn it back on. And if you think it's too sensitive, you can turn it off and turn it back on and do a lower setting. So, I turn it on. And the gist is, if something comes close to it, or the antenna, it goes off. Crazy. The goal is, you know, there's a ghost or a lot of energy that kind of comes near this, it's gonna go off. It's also got different lights like green and red and purple, green, red, purple. Pro tips, you can ask it to turn on the green light, which means it would come close to this one versus this one. Over my 30 investigations, there have been a ton of investigations where this never went off. There's also some investigations where it's going off like crazy. So it's cool to use, you know, investigations where, you know, nothing happens compared to the ones where it does. And for best practice, I would say, hey, can you turn on the green or the purple light? And if it does, I mean, what a coincidence. Or you could just explain it as a ghost because it's pretty cool. The other best practice would be setting it in the hallway, like I previously mentioned. That's a really cool tip. Now, we're talking about the Rem Pod. Is it going to improve your paranormal game? Absolutely. Absolutely, my friends. I think the audio bit catches a lot of paranormal investigators' attention, old and new. And I think it adds a really wonderful element. You don't always have to use it. On a scale of 1 to 10, is this necessary? Well, I know it's not necessary. And with a price tag of a little under $200, and maybe if you have friends or whatever, it's 100, etc. If it's used, this is that. You should not consider this if you're on a budget. You should consider perhaps saving up for it. Maybe if you do a one big purchase every year, maybe this might be your item. But what I would recommend is, it's worth it. Now you're dabbling between this, the portal, like the big expensive items. 1 to 10, is it necessary? 4. I don't think it's necessary because it's $200. I don't think it's necessary to have a good time. 1 to 10, is it, how useful is it? How fun is it? I'd give it an 8 or a 9. When this thing starts popping off, and even if you reset it by turning it on, turning it back off, and putting the settings on, and moving it, and it still pops off, this is absolutely great. It's worth the money, but I know it's a lot of money, so I know it's not necessary to have a great investigation, but if you have one, it's going to add a tremendous amount of value. So that's why Rem Pods would be fantastic for you. 4 out of 10, a must. Do you have to have it? No, especially because it's expensive. A lot of the ways, using candles, using compasses, using just regular audio recorders, that's where you're going to get your bulk of the stuff, even flashlight tests. But how fun is it? 8 or 9. It's not the best item, because I feel like if you get a portal that's actually accurate, that thing is screaming, it's a 10. Portals are 9 or 10. Rem Pods are 8 to 9, depending on the situation. And even if they don't go off, it's a great example of how you use this experience to show, hey, it's going off right now like crazy. The last 3, it didn't do anything. And the last best practice, as I ramble here, is make sure you change this battery. I always say once every investigation. Some people say every 2 or 3 investigations. But hey, I think it's worth it to change it because it might be a faulty battery. Or if you think it's a faulty battery, just bring an extra 9 volt. Hey, this was Unboxing with Bryan. Have a fantastic night, my friends.